what we are going to focus on here in this lesson is employee handbook. So when you're building any company, really, you need one solid document that both you can follow as the owner and your employees can follow so they have an idea of what expectations are in the company and kind of some of the overall rules. Now, this isn't like the contract with the employee. By all means, you should have a more detailed contract with every employee that lists out exactly what their day to day is, what expectations are, what their salaries are, their hourly rates are, all that other stuff. This is the handbook that you send out to every single person that joins your team so they have an idea of how to take time off, like what are no-goes in the company. Let's just actually start at the beginning and just kind of run through it. We are going to attach this as a downloadable document. So you can actually take this. This is a Word doc. We're not even going to put it in PDF form because we'll make it a Word doc. So you can just come in, you can change out your logo, you can change out your company info, your contact info, um, and you can just go through this and see what sections you like, what sections you don't like. So how we start our employee handbook, obviously, we think it's important to actually show that this is our employee handbook, Three Timbers. That's our company. So it's really straightforward. We kind of did a welcome letter, just kind of welcoming them to the company, telling them that we're excited for them to join. And then, really, it's important when a handbook is this long to have a table of contents. I mean, this is 20 pages or so. Geez, it's longer than that. It's 26 pages. You want guys to be able to find stuff like that. So if something does arise and we need to look up what's going on, or we need a directory to figure out how to address that situation in the company, we can go into this employee handbook and just boom, boom, boom. What rules do we set? I just want to touch on a few things. Like, you guys can read through all this on your own. I think it's valuable to do so. But I'm just going to touch on some of like the key points that I think are just no-brainers. I do think an introduction important. Tell them about the company, express your vision, express your mission. Employee handbook, like this is employee handbook. This is the statements, or the statements in this employee handbook are not full and complete documentation of the policies or procedures of Three Timbers. You need to add a line of that nature to cover your butt, because this is not all of our documents related to our employees. This is just a small section to really give guidance. So, another section that I want to talk about is employment at will. So, in Minnesota, I don't know what it's like in all of your states, but we are an employment at will state, which means essentially we can fire someone whenever we want and they can leave whenever they want. So you do have to express this in your documentation. So we added this section of Three Timbers is an employment at will employer. As such, you may cease your employment with us at any time and for any reason. The company may also cease employment with you at any time and for any reason. Um, I guess to stop really quick, like, you can go super detailed into all of this. I could just read the whole thing to you, but I don't think that's a value add. If I was someone using this document, what I would do is I would go through each section and I would decide what section fits my company. What do I need to leave in here for my employees? Do I need to add other sections? And if you do, talk to a lawyer that's familiar with um, hiring, firing, HR kind of deals. ChatGPT is also a really good thing. We made this before ChatGPT was really a big thing, but it can help a lot with legal. But yeah, I just think reading this whole thing and just cutting out what you like and what you don't like will be incredibly valuable for you and save you tons of time and money. This document cost us I mean, I think tens of thousands of dollars, 10,000, 8,000, 10,000. I don't remember, but it also kind of protects us. So, a couple other points here that I want to go over is we do have a conflict of interest policy in ours. So we explain that you are expected to exercise honesty, high ethical standards, and good judgment in all business dealings. You must avoid any actions that might create a conflict of interest or even appearance of such a conflict that might reflect unfavorably on the company. I highlighted this one because I think conflict of interest is so important. I think ethics are so important. I think the standards that are set by your employees are so important. That's going to make or break you as a company, like right out of the gate. Because anything under a million, you are a baby startup. Like you're always fighting for your life, and this helps you survive. Working our way down the page, we definitely put in a pay schedule. So for us, we pay every 2 weeks, and we really spell that out. So for all hours worked from the 1st of each month to the 15th of each month, those will be paid on the following Friday at the end of the day. So payment occurs twice a month. This makes it so we can just explain it right away. You know, if we have a new employee and they're like, when am I getting paid? It's like, look at your employee handbook. Another topic, I think, absentee and tardiness. We don't really need to touch on this much, but we do hit on like when work begins. And this changes all the time, but we're setting like a standard for people to really feel comfortable and wrap their minds around when they're joining the company. Because it's scary when you're joining and you don't know what to expect. So this employee handbook also makes new employees feel more comfortable. We do have a cell phone rule. You don't need to do this. Make sure you look at this line item because this might not flow with your company. But we say that guys can only use their phone for 5 minutes a day. Um, we think phone problems are a huge waste of time. People are sending texts in this generation all the time. They're answering phone calls. They're looking at social media all the time, and it's just like that's so unproductive. So we do have a rule of just 5 minutes a day of personal phone use. That's it. You can talk to people after. Another highlighted point. Sorry for keep doing that. I don't really. I still have this in Microsoft for you guys, so I can just give it right to you. But company vehicles. Everyone needs to have a valid driver's license. Have to be insurable. Um, both the driver and the passengers must have seat belts. The reality is, like, there are also a whole lot of things in here that are just protecting us. If something happens and we found out that they didn't have a driver's license or someone else, some random guy got in the truck that was on one of the teams, we can say, look, like this is what X this employee signed. So they know the rules, so we can go after them. And that's just, it's unfortunate when things like that happen. But once again, when you're in startup mode, you can't have something like that sink your company. If a guy without a driver's license just quickly took the truck, took one of your company vehicles to the gas station and grabbed lunch and ran into someone, no, like you need to make sure you can go after them for that. And this is protecting you. Uh, Company use of personal vehicles. There may be a rare occasion where an employee is requested to use his or her personal vehicle for company business. In such cases, the company will reimburse the employee at the current IRS mileage allowance. So, what this is essentially explaining is like, you know, when you don't have a million trucks and you might only have one or two, and you need someone to quickly get something from the hardware store, but all the trucks are being used, and one of your guys is like, "Oh, I can just go get it quick. I'll just drive my truck." It's like, "Great. Thank you so much like for making that sacrifice for the company. Here's how we will pay you back for that mileage. Just record it and send it to us." We use the IRS mileage allowance, so you can just look it up. IRS mileage allowance. Right now it's 2024, so say 2024. And it's basically going to say how much you should be uh, reimbursing that employee for that mileage. So right now in 2024, it's like 67 cents a mile. So big section. We have a big section here on customer relations. This is huge. We're in the service industry. The customer experience is everything. So we're going to hit real hard on all of those items. We highlight that we are no tolerance for any substance abuse in any form. We just have no leeway. We don't want to deal with it. This industry is plagued with people that are, you know, doing some questionable stuff. Uh, and we just don't want to be picking guys up from jail. We don't want to be getting them out of bed in the morning. We don't want guys not showing up. So if we aren't a good fit because we're drug free and we have high standards, that's fine. It saves us in the long run. All this other stuff, good stuff. Read through it. Equipment and tool use. Company does not lend or provide equipment, trucks, tools, or allow the use of facilities for personal use. We always seem to have guys that take stuff home with them and use it. It's fine with permission. By all means, we aren't that strict, but we do have to write it up where it's like, no, you can't just take this stuff off site. Lunch breaks. That's another important one. We do 30-minute lunch breaks. They're unpaid in our company. It's just how it works. We do require a 30-minute break every day. It keeps people fresh. And I don't know for sure if it's the law, but just do it. Give your guys some time to eat lunch. And guys can choose to do it or not. Doesn't matter. At least you have it in writing. We do a 90-day introductory period. You can see this new employee 90-day introductory period. So this allows us to really test a guy or gal for 90 days. And at the end of that 90-day period, we can decide to adjust their salary or hourly up or down. So it gives us 90 days to truly test their ability and decide if they're a good fit, bad fit, if they should be getting paid more or less, what value they bring to the team. We do touch on overtime. Overtime in Minnesota is 48 hours. We have to pay time and a half um, once we hit 48 hours. So we just have that spelled out for them. We got a lot of other stuff in here like performance reviews, performance improvement program, safety stuff. We do have termination of employment. So we just kind of touch on like there may be many reasons, but we have every right to end a relationship. Look at what we do for uniforms, what our workday, work week stuff looks like. We have this rough benefits page, so we kind of spell out what we do for PTO and how that works. We only do PTO for full timers. We also do education stuff. So in our scenario, we want to pay for people to get more educated, but it comes with a little snag from the standpoint of you get an A, we'll pay for 100%. You get a B, we pay for 80. You get a C, we pay for 50. Anything under that, we don't pay for any of it because you just didn't put in the effort. So at the end of the employee handbook, we just have them sign, we have them date. Uh, we just store all of this away for our own sake and make sure you make two copies. You have them sign one that you keep and then have them sign one that they keep. You want them to be able to look at this employee handbook. So you'll see that attached. This is incredibly important. Employee handbooks are huge. And yeah, just run through this whole thing and decide what you want to use in your own company.